Well, hello, and I tell you what, I'm excited today about this young lady that is on the screen with me right now. This is my first time doing a Zoom by myself. Somebody else is always controlling it. I've never done this before, so I'm praying that this comes out well. But Chingy Tobin, did I say it right?
Yes, you
Yeah,
did. Well done.
I was struggling with that last name. I wanted to bring you on today, Chingy. And before I get into that, just kind of tell the people a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Oh, okay. Well, it's always one of those questions, isn't it? Well, I guess they call me the dating and relationship expert. I don't know if I would call myself that. I am really just a woman sent to really just be the mouthpiece of God for women, to release wisdom, and to really support and almost be a mother. And a big sister and an auntie. I really feel like that's really my job, but obviously it is what I do. I am professional. It is what I study. It's what I live and breathe. So I hope that that's really what I give value. Of course, I've got my YouTube channel, Chengi's World, soon to be Black Swan Relationship Academy. And I coach women and married and single, and I'm just there for them. I'm just their heartbeat and hopefully a source of great wisdom. So I think that's probably the most authentic way to describe myself.
Yeah, I
But
think that's very accurate too, because as young as you are, you carry the oil, the anointing, the grace of a mother for women.
mm,
And just briefly, just kind of, you mentioned that you're making the transition from what your brand has been for years, Chingy's World,
yeah,
to Black Swan Academy, if I'm saying it right.
yes.
Tell the people just a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, the Black Swan story was really the story of a time in history where it was believed in Europe there was no such thing as a black swan. There were only white feathers, they only came in white. And so they would even sort of use the phrase like, oh, that's a black swan thing, which means it doesn't exist, So it was a phrase that was then coined to speak of things that don't exist until one day a black swan was spotted, I think, in South Australia. And all of a sudden, what was imagined to be impossible does not exist,
Wow.
actually does exist, actually lives. And that then questioned the logic of every idea or rationale in the world of whatever logic or rationale that was held. Now you could have black swan moments. This can be questioned. This thing that we think doesn't exist, it actually exists. And I found that in my work in Chengi's World, the women that were told you're a single mom, you can never find love, and if you do, it's going to be hard, they were finding beautiful love. Women that were
Wow.
told
Wow.
you're too successful, you will never find a finding love. And women that were told you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that. And these kind of, it's impossible moments. I was having so many sort of black swan moments with these women. And I was being taken aback. And I started to realize that it was really that scripture that says, in all of your getting, get understanding. And as I was sort of mentoring and coaching and training these women, I realized that when they got understanding, they became the black swans. They became the story of what was said could never be. Women who were in their 50s, had been divorced 3 times, felt like they could never ever find love and had been hurt and broken so many times, and now falling in love with amazing men who treat them the way they deserve. That for me is a black swan moment. So as I was sort of talking to the Lord about really what he wanted me to do next, because the coaching is good, but I knew that I had destiny in my heart. I knew that God has called me to the nations, to the women of the world, but I didn't quite know how's one woman going to do that, right?
Yeah.
I am adverse to fame. It's not something that I necessarily want. And so I'm not trying to be a superstar. So how am I going to do that? So the Lord began to speak to me about creating training and education, because what has been broken is our understanding, because we have learned toxic things, poisonous things, we have fed into culture, and it has it has messed with our thinking and our minds and perverted what God intended. And as such, the job now is to teach and to educate, precept upon precept. And so I realized that much of what I do on my calls is education. So the Lord was like, right, you're going to create an academy. You're going to transition from advice and coaching as a main pillar, and you're going to transition into training and education. And it will make it more accessible for more women. So it's not something that I would have to personally do one-to-one, but I would create these courses and create these ideas that are biblically aligned, scientifically proven, and women could then learn, and we would unlearn some of the stuff that we've learned and begin to learn things, because wisdom builds a house, and wisdom is the principal thing. So in an age where singleness has become rife and hurt and pain, and there's so much misunderstanding, what will now rebuild? God is at work. He's at work delivering love. He's at work delivering miracles, but we need to be the right vessels, the containers of wisdom. So that's really it. And then the Lord was like, well, there's the Black Swan, story that has always been on your heart. It's time for you to create that in a community of women and create a nation and touch 1 billion women's lives, and allow them to experience that Black Swan moment within their own lives. So it was quite scary letting go of one brand that I have labored.
Yeah.
But Chenki's World was really just a young woman just trying to share some love and some wisdom. It wasn't really meant to be what it became anyway. So this is more God transitioning and sort of giving something to the world, I believe, that can benefit any woman anywhere in the world if she's prepared to.
I get it. And it's so necessary, because today the messages that are running rampant through the world, through mainstream media, through social media, through print, through movies, is that women are constricted to this box. At your certain age, your certain race, your certain size, it's over for you. And yeah, literally, you've hit the wall, you've run over the cliff, and so many women are distraught and full of anxiety because of the lies that are permeating in the earth.
Yeah.
And so for me, this conversation with you has been a long time coming, because I wanted to bring a woman to my platform that number one, is proven, is good at what you do, and a woman that has a biblical sense about herself and a real divine spiritual connection with God, to begin to unpack some of the things that that women are struggling with today, relative to femininity. What does that look like? And so the thing that I'm getting a lot in my particular community is that I'm having women who are successful, educated, in many cases, very well compensated financially. And they're struggling with this idea that because I'm successful, because, I walk with a spirit of dominion, because I, call shots on my job, that means, somehow I can't be feminine, or that I've been completely divorced from my, feminine self. What do you think about that whole idea?
Yes, this is massive. This is massive. The thing is, we are all reeling from women's liberation, which was intended really with good intentions, but like all things that come from resistance, they tend to at some point become toxic, because at some point you resist and you win, and then you keep resisting, and then now we're taking ground. So what happened is nobody really considered the effect of women coming into the marketplace and earning money and because the roles were more defined by economics. The men went out to work and the women stayed home. And so there was this the natural roles were there for us to sort of fit into. Now that the roles are gone, who are we? And then now we have an identity crisis. But a lot of women, especially my generation, was sort of raised to be told, listen, focus on your education and and on your money and and then the man will come. But actually, when it comes to relationship, that very sacred thing called relationship, the rules that govern that space then shift, because at the end of the day, it is the masculine and the feminine that come together and create life together. So what a lot of women didn't understand is what is required for the marketplace, for business, for education, for anything that is left lobed, that is masculine energy. So anything that you're doing to train, to learn, to set goals, that's masculine energy. But what we were not taught is that, because our mothers didn't do the back and forth as much. Right. They stayed in their feminine. So they just thought, okay, my daughter will kind of pick this up, add that great stuff, and she'll be fine. But this woman is now raised to be masculine. For the most part, she's commended when she achieves. She is applauded when she gets that goal done, and she's given attention for masculine priorities. And so now she abandons her femininity because it doesn't bring her what she needs. So when she comes into a relationship, she comes in as the masculine. So what happens is she's now competitive, controlling, and conquering in her nature. And then she meets a man who's competitive, controlling. And then what we have is competitive energy. We start to clash. All she needs to understand is, I can go to work and be the boss, make that money, make those calls, be in that masculine energy. But when I'm relating to a man, I lean back into my feminine. I allow myself to lean back.
So it is possible for a woman to embrace that side of her and still manifest her feminine in relationship. Absolutely. So many women are feeling like, well, I have to abandon my sense of achievement. I have to abandon my goals. I have to abandon all of these things so that I can have a man. So you're saying that it's possible to synergize the two.
Absolutely. You see, God made us both. We come from male and female. There's a reason, because within us is the masculine and the feminine. So God didn't make a mistake, right? He was really good at this. He said, okay, you need both masculine to think, to mother, when we're mothering our kids and setting their boundaries and telling them what to do and go here and providing. The masculine is the giving, cherishing, and protecting energy. So even a woman must give, protect, and cherish a baby. Okay, so any child that we raise under the age of 10, we are in our masculine energy. We need to be organized. We need to have these protocols. So God knew that to raise kids, a woman has to now take on that role of leadership in that way and be organized. And he also knew that at some point we might need to defend ourselves, because that's where the assertiveness comes in. So God didn't leave us completely without those abilities, but it was not intended for us to live there. As a woman, you were born with, you're given your essence, your core is feminine. So there's no woman watching this right now who does not have a feminine essence. Her core is feminine, but she would have been taught by society and scripted by society that is weakness. And when you are feminine, you are going to be a doormat and you're going to be used. And you're never going to achieve, and nobody respects that. And these are sort of the overtones of feminism and the kind of systems of the world. If you don't kind of have this aggression, then you are going to be stomped over. So what I say to my ladies who feel the same way too, they're like, Chengi, are you telling me to dumb down? Right? Are you telling me to dumb down? And this is what I say to them. I say to them, no, I'm asking you to lead with what makes you kind, with what makes you good, with what makes you warm, with what makes you inviting. I'm asking you to lead with that, because you are not your degrees. You are not your education. You are so much more. And I want, I would say to them, are you a kind woman? Yes, of course. Are you loving? Yeah. Do you like to nurture and make the world a beautiful place? Yeah. So why is it not okay for you to lead with that? Why is it not okay for you to be that first when you're in a relationship? And then when he finds out that you are also this amazing, smart woman, that's a bonus.
Yeah. Well,
right?
and just coming from my perspective as a man, that kind of woman requires a man that has the capacity to engage her.
Yeah.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and everything you're saying right now is kind of capsulized in the Proverbs 31 woman. She was feminine and masculine. She could take charge. She had goals. She would lead. She would give orders. But then the Bible talks about how she was a great mother and would wake up early to take care of her children, and her husband loved her, and she took care of him.
Yeah.
But she had a man that was of stature, not financially necessarily. Everybody's talking about a high value man, but I think a high value man really starts with the psychology and the spirituality of the man. And does he have the capacity to allow you to be everything that God has made you to be? Often talk about how Adam, the original man, was so much man that God didn't have to look outside of him to create a whole woman. He reached into Adam because he had enough capacity and pulled out Eve and made Adam a woman from his very own substance. So I think, just from my perspective, women who are hearing this and are in this vein have to simultaneously be aware of the level of man that they are dealing with, because a woman that's at the level you're talking about is not going to be able to be covered by an inferior man. He's going to have to, it's like a pot. You have pots that are different sizes. Well, if you have a lid for a pot that's small, but you're a pot that's large, well, that lid won't be able to cover you. And so that's just my 2 cents. Now,
100%.
Now, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes. I was going to say that this is really pivotal. And this is where I'm so grateful for your content and stuff, especially about vetting, because in my experience, masculine energy women, because they're always giving, protecting, and cherishing, playing that masculine role, they don't actually know how to choose a man properly. Women that are feminine tend to choose great masculine mates. And the problem is that they don't always understand the definition of masculinity. Masculinity is the most loving energy in the world. The hallmark of a masculine man is his ability to love. Women think they can love better than men. It's not true. Wow. Men who are masculine, the capacity they have to love. Men will put themselves, a masculine man will put himself in danger. He will endanger his life to protect his wife and children. He counts his life as of no effect when it comes to the people he loves. There is no woman doing that. There's no woman going in front of her man and say, take me instead. Right? What we're going to do is hide behind our man. Why? Because the love of a man, when he is masculine, healthy man, is the masculinity. You see, a lot of the falsehood is that masculinity is brutish and horrible and dominating, and actually it is very loving. And this is why I would say to women, why does God, who is neither male nor female, choose to describe himself in the masculine? Why does he choose masculine? Because the masculine provides, protects, and cherishes. Wow. And so he made man in his own image and his own likeness. He created an identity print of himself. So even when God put man over woman, it was not so that he would subjugate her. It was so that she would experience love in the way God loves. So what it is with a woman who's perpetually giving, giving, protecting, cherishing, trying to be this man, I have these clients and I'm like, you make a great guy, right? Protecting, cherishing, right? She cannot identify, and she will even push away a man that loves her, because she has not learned to identify what love is. So once a woman becomes masculine, and a masculine woman always chooses with her eyes, she has all these male protocols, and then she attracts feminine toxic men. So by the time I kind of meet a lot of these, yeah.
She does what? She chooses with her eyes. Unpack that for us.
Okay. So masculine energy chooses with eyes, with his eyes. You look, and your intuition shows you who the woman is. You choose because you're attracted. Your eyes like what you see. That's how masculinity chooses its mate. Of course, you will then run your protocols about whether she's a good, kind woman, but really your eyes first make the decision. This is how God has created men to choose, which is why feminine women do take care of themselves, always look pretty, because it is how men are wired. Right. But feminine energy chooses with her ears. A feminine woman doesn't choose a man who's got great abs and he's, and he drives a car and he's got all of these things going on, right? These are women, when I get women who come to me like, he's got to be sexy. I'm like, okay, well done, guy. You're a great guy. Okay. No, a feminine woman chooses with her ears. What does he say and do? She falls in love with her ears. I always say to women, especially who come to me, if they're masculine, they charge through sexually. Sexual energy is very masculine. We have the ability as women, but we when a woman is highly sexual, she's operating from her masculine energy, because we're actually built to fall in love gradually. So I always say to women, listen, what you want to feel is a soft flame. And as he speaks to you, and as he demonstrates that his words and his deeds are in alignment, you fall more and more in love with him. The modern woman who is masculine is looking for fireworks and, oh my God, I just fell, They're looking for this Hollywood expression, this romance, but it's not how a woman is designed. She's designed to listen and to watch and to have the male prove himself to her. And he feels good when he has to prove himself. Masculine energy does good to feel good, and feminine energy feels good to do good. So it's understanding that we are made different. So a lot of women will say it's a high value man because he earns a certain amount or drives a certain car or wears certain clothes. But those are masculine priorities. You're looking at him to decide who he is, but you must not. Speak to him. See if his words and actions relate. That makes you a feminine woman. You don't have to be with a gorgeous, drop dead, gorgeous, rich guy. You have to be with a man that knows how to cherish you, that knows how to love you, to read you, to serve your heart, who understands you and makes room for you to blossom. And the women that are happy in relationships, those are the ones that choose their ears. So yes, my girls have issues like, Chengi, I'm learning. And once they get it, they find love that is overwhelming, because they're great men out there. And masculine men, they're not pretty. And this is what I tell my girls. They don't have six-pack abs. They don't have, some of them do, but very rarely. Why? Because a masculine man is about his purpose. A masculine man understands, I have to be a provider, protector. So he's always about his purpose. And they're usually quite awkward to talk to. Why? Because they're not in clubs chasing women. They're not on apps constantly chasing girls. They are so purposeful and so focused on what they're creating and building, because that's masculine energy, that they're not going to be so slick. They're not going to be so charming. They're not going to look so amazing. So I actually teach my girls, if he's that kind of slick and that kind of charming, that should be a flashing amber light for you. Because masculine men, yes, they look good. They take care of themselves, but they're not obsessed with this. Yeah. They will speak to you openly and plainly. They're not going to give you lyrics, as they say here, or sweet talk you. He's probably going to say things that are awkward, maybe ask sort of, it might even come across boring if you're not careful. But that is the man that you want, because he's going to provide, protect, and cherish.
Wow. So I'm learning so much from you right now. So the masculine energy in a woman, you're helping me to understand some of the things, even on a deeper level, that I've taught indirectly.
Yeah.
It's the masculine energy in a woman that makes her choose a man with her eyes. That is one of the problems I'm having with the women that I teach, is that I can't get them moved off of this my type thing. And the my type thing always boils down to what they're looking at in a man, and never discerning that man, never really investigating or experiencing that man internally. And you're saying to me that that's masculine energy manifesting in a woman, and she thinks that she's being feminine when she's really being masculine. And this is the masculine energy that is sabotaging the woman's own success in relationships, and even damaging women emotionally. Because if I'm listening to you right, when a woman is flowing in that kind of masculine energy and she chooses a man with her eyes, 99.9% of the time, she's going to choose a feminine man.
Yes.
You also helped me to understand something that I never understood for 56 years, with all of the history I have with, women and relationships, and everybody knows my history. I was never turned on by a woman that was more sexually aggressive than me. And now I understand it's because that is masculine energy manifesting.
Yes.
I was never moved by, I never was interested in a woman that, I'm on 8 and she's on 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always moved by a woman that was a little more reserved than myself. And so you're really unpacking this stuff.
Yes.
Anything you want to add before we move on?
No, that is the protocol. And a lot of women feel like, do I have to repress my sexuality to come across feminine? And this is something that I do with my girls when I work with them, and they always come with the tits out, and hope I can say that, but the bits out, right?
Yeah.
And and they're going online dating. I'm like, okay, we need to cover that up. And prior, they're just getting all these feminine guys, and they're getting used and all this toxicity. And the moment they cover up, they start to attract really masculine men. Men start to come to them straight away out of the gate. I'm looking for a wife. They start to hear stuff they've never heard before. It's really about understanding that masculine energy seeks virtue. Masculine energy seeks virtue. And when the girls are talking to me and they're like, yeah, but no, listen, men are not looking for virginity. They would like it. Yes, they would. I'm not going to lie. But it's virtue they want. That's why the Proverbs 31 woman is a woman of virtue. Virtue is a woman that manages her sexuality in a high value way. The reason why the modern woman doesn't manage her sexuality effectively is because she's actually disconnected from self. The feminine woman is the woman that, when I work with women and I say to them, how do you feel? They don't know how they feel. They start telling me what they think. I think, how do you feel? There's a massive disconnect that happens when we're in masculine energy. And when you're disconnected from yourself, your body becomes like that of a man. The woman's body is highly sacred. The man's body is actually built for battle, and in a way, dispensable. Terrible word to use, but men are built for war, and they could die in war. That's why when there's war, we draft the men. That's why we lose men on the battlefield, because men's bodies and their relationship with their body is different, but a woman's body and her relationship with it is like it's sacred. We create life. And so a feminine woman is highly attuned to her body. A masculine woman is unattuned to her body. So she offers it like bread, right? So a lot of the work that I do is help women attune to their body, your soul, your spirit, your body. Once you connect the two, you realize that you are the sexual gatekeeper. And because of that, that is where your power base lies. And as a feminine woman, holding on to your sexuality and keeping it covered signals virtue to a masculine man. If you don't signal virtue to a masculine man, he will either sleep with you, discard of you and go, or you will constantly attract feminine men. So if you really want to serve yourself, this is not about, oh, because the church said or the Bible said. God is wise. There's a reason he speaks about modesty, because he knows what he's trying to create. He's trying to allow women to signal masculine men who will provide, who will protect, and who will cherish them and their young and be there and not leave them and become fathers, right? He knows how he built men. If you signal a man by showing too much or being sexually aggressive, but you see modern culture has told women that they have to be sexually aggressive. Men will flock to a woman with her bits out, right? But they won't marry her. They marry virtue. So femininity is really actually understanding that covering your body, there are many ways to be sexy without being slutty. We don't have to see your bits and pieces. And we can still look at you and say, you know what, you are a sexy girl, you know, because that's being aware of your sexuality. And of course, when you're in marriage or, you know, in the relationship, that marriage is what we would like to go for. But let's say you can't do that one, at least you are in a stable, committed relationship. You can explore that with a man will not judge your virtue once he's committed to you. He will judge your virtue. Men will judge you if you sleep with them prior marriage or commitment. And women get upset about that. And I keep saying to them, listen, in the sexual marketplace, in relationships, we have no room for negotiation. You cannot negotiate feelings. You cannot negotiate nature. As much as I hate the rain, I cannot negotiate with it to stop raining. I can put a roof over my head, right? But we feel we can negotiate. Oh, men should be open. It's the 21st century. The way God built us, the way our biology is, the way our science is, the way our hormonal structure is, the way our brains are, is unaffected by the calendar. If a man does not see virtue in you, he doesn't see that you're a woman that manages your sexuality with poise and grace and dignity, you are only ever going to be a plaything. And he will not perceive you as a feminine woman. And eventually he'll get bored of you, because men do want a feminine woman who has virtue.
You know, another question that I get quite a lot, and I don't always have the practical answers. You know, I have theoretical answers, philosophical answers, but I don't have the practical answers because I'm not a woman. But the question comes quite a lot to me from the ladies that are in my community.
Yeah.
How does a woman, let me read the question. How does a feminine woman show up in her relationships? But more importantly, number 8, how does a feminine woman get the attention of the man she wants without making the first move?
I love that one.
That's the one. That's the one. Is it right to search yourself? How does a feminine woman, you know, get the attention of a man that she desires without making the first move? I get that question a lot, and I don't always have great answers for it.
Oh, well, you've come to the right place, Bishop. Okay, so like I said earlier, because masculinity chooses with the eyes, one of the things that we need to accept as women is this: it is our priority as a feminine woman to always look your best. And because it is simply how the male chooses.
Oh, see, what did you just say? It's what? To always do what?
It is our feminine priority to always look our best.
Well, see, I get pushback on that point. It's like, you know, I'm not a show pony. I'm not performing, and I'm not doing this. I get pushback on this, and I'm like a man trying to tell women, but they want to push back on me, and I'm like, you can say what you want, but a certain kind of man wants a woman that's going to take care of herself a certain kind of way. Period.
Standardly. And if a woman doesn't, Bishop, she will attract low value men. When a woman doesn't take care of herself and she has got a lot of feminine neglect and she just comes out, I was having this conversation with my girls the other day. I do get pushback too, because I'm fighting against culture. When she just comes out and she doesn't care about how she looks, she will signal low value men who are not invested. When a woman she puts herself together, you don't always have to look like you're walking up, but you must have a protocol, a skincare, hair protocol that you do every day without question. This is where we want things for free. You can't get it for free. It's, you can get love for free, but it's not cheap. You have to earn the love of a masculine man, and he's got to earn the love by working hard and being a person that he has to work. You have to work. So this laziness culture of just take me as I am is actually, I had some girls and they were like, how come I keep attracting these men that want me to pay? I was like, well, look at you. You just show up, right? Men are highly intuitive, and part of it is with their eyes. They're going to look at you and they're going to determine how much of an investment they need to make. If a man is broke, busted, and disgusted, and you come through with your I don't care, he knows he's not going to have to spend a penny to look after you or to be with you, right? That's how they're choosing. This is how men are choosing. He's going to go for these women. So if you want to be a high value feminine woman, then you have no choice but to look right. Now, what you want to do is you want to look good enough for a man to choose you with his eyes. Now, when you walk into the room and a man chooses you with his eyes, he won't move his eyes away from you. He will follow you with his eyes.
True. That's very
Even
true.
if he's unwilling to make the move. Now, your job is to present and to signal two things. Present is how I show up, okay, and be present. So look good. I was raised by a woman who was like, you don't go to the shops unless you look decent. You don't have to wear makeup. She's like, where are you going? No, come back in, put yourself together and go to the shops. I don't care if you're picking up milk, because you don't know where you're going to. So this is a protocol that my mother raised me in. And every woman should have that mindset. You can't just go out. So if you're on the market to be seen and found by a husband, then these are the protocols. And even as a married woman, that's something that you also have to maintain. As a woman who's high value and feminine, this is your responsibility, because men their eyes get offended too. And you can disrespect his eyes, and respect is a masculine protocol. So we have to make sure that we are appreciating this, and we should enjoy it, because it helps us tap into our femininity. So when I find a woman who's upset with the idea, it's because she's so distanced from her femininity. And the moment she finds it, she will find joy in it, because it's actually quite nice. It's an enjoyable process for us as women. It's very soothing, because when we fight our femininity, we're risking even our health and our well-being. So that's something that we can discuss later. So that's what she does. She has to present. So look good. His eyes are going to be on you, and then you're going to signal him. Okay. High value men will never approach without a signal. If you approach a high value masculine man, he's going to run.
It's true.
I had a call with a friend today, and he was like, oh, this woman is chasing me. I don't even want to see her. True. Masculine men don't want to be chased. It's not natural to them, because the hunting and the going for what they want is how they feel good. Remember, masculine energy has to do good to feel good. So as he comes towards you, he feels good about himself, especially when he gets the results, right? So as a feminine woman, and when we look at it, 90% of communication is nonverbal anyway. So as a feminine woman, you are doing 90-something%, but you must never, ever speak. So this is because speaking is left lobe and it is masculine. So he must always speak first, but you must signal him. He's already got his eyes on you. Look at him and smile, and let him know you're looking at him, and smile. Now, here's the thing, Bishop. Women are wimps. They don't even want to do that.
Wow.
Right? They don't want the vulnerability of looking, because feminine energy is vulnerable. They don't want to be vulnerable to look in a man's eyes and smile at him, because they don't even want that kind of rejection. But they don't understand that when you look in a man's eyes and smile, and he sees the shyness, that's a virtue signal for him. And he's going to love the fact that you are so uncomfortable with doing this.
This is
The
good.
discomfort is actually going to make him think, wow, okay, all
This,
right. And he's going to feel comfortable to walk over. If you feel like, okay, you're super shy, you can close the gap a little bit and come a little bit closer, but don't speak. Smile at him again. Look at him again, because he's got his eyes on you. His eyes can't leave your orbit because he's chosen you with his eyes. So you got to win the eye battle first. Okay. Now, if he isn't moving in your direction, there's only two reasons. He's either married, maybe not interested in women, or basically he doesn't want you. And this is the bit that we don't want to hear. He hasn't chosen you, right? And it's okay. Just because you haven't chosen me doesn't mean I'm not choosable.
That's exactly
that I'm not desirable, that I'm not fantastic. Your eyes just don't appreciate this, right? You have your own type of thing. But 99.9% of the time, Bishop, a man is so beautifully flattered and he's so, so happy. He just needs a very clear signal.
Can I add something there?
Of course.
So on point. You it's like you're really helping me to understand my own psychology as a man for 56 years now. Because, with all the history I have in my background, I was never in a place where I was blatantly disrespectful. I was always drawn. The eye contact thing is 100%. The smile is 100% accurate. Because when a man is at a certain level, he labors not to disrespect a woman that he may be interested in. Yes. And so she has to give him that signal for him to feel comfortable enough to overcome that hurdle to make the approach. She definitely destroys it if she opens her mouth and she makes the approach. But when a woman smiles and looks back, it takes all of that apprehension out of a man. And the man that would have just let the evening go by and would have gone on now makes his way over and will ask, well, what's your name? Who are you? I am so-and-so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're so on point. Finish. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. And also when you're dating, I'm glad you're confirming this, because sometimes when it's a girl telling women, they think, you're just making it up. So it's really important that they hear it from a man as well. And when you are going with a set of girls, separate yourself from the herd. If you turned up to the party with 5 girls, stop hanging around with them. If you've spotted a man that you like and you can see that his eyes are on you and you signal him, move away so that he can have the confidence, because men don't want to approach a whole heap of women standing there who might possibly, say things that, embarrass him perhaps. So just step away and just separate yourself and continue to send that signal, but not obviously all through the night. He will respond. A real masculine man will respond to that signal. And this is how you know he's a quality man. Players and jokers and time wasters, they'll approach anybody all the time, anywhere. Right. And this is why a lot of women always end up in bad relationships, because they won't signal. They'll just wait for the confident joker who's playing the numbers game. And then they think, oh, and then they're told, shoot your shot, right? And then they go into this kind of approach mode, which feels very uncomfortable. And then of course, digitally is the same thing. You can, if you like a guy, present yourself in that, go and like his page, follow him, like a bit of his pictures, just let him see, okay, this is someone new in my world. Make sure your profile picture is lovely, right? That is a signal. You're saying, I'm here, I see you, and I see your post. You can even comment and say something about the post. Yes, if he's been to Switzerland, I've been to Zurich too, and it's really beautiful city, great pictures, and leave it at that. That is how we digitally present and signal. So it's really having that art form of understanding that it's not my job to ultimately speak, because the one who speaks is male, because it is left lobe activity to speak. And anything that is left lobe activity is masculine energy. And it always works. It works for my girls all the time. wherever you go, my girls are always like, Chinky, where are all these men coming from? And I'm like, well, you're signaling them, right? And if your spirit is open and you don't have all these kind of bad stuff and this bad energy, men will gravitate. And for me, it's the easiest thing for a feminine woman to do. Finding men and men coming is that you'll be overwhelmed.
Well, I know that you have another obligation, but I tell you what, we are going to have to really continue this conversation, because I feel like we're just getting, this is not even the introduction. And it's so helpful to have your perspective as a woman that's committed to the Word of God and committed to what God has put you in the earth to do. It just helps me, and it helps, I'm certain, my entire audience to get it. I so appreciate you for coming. I have a million other questions, but I'm going to have to let you go. And I
we
know
can do this again.
we must do this again. And I know they're wondering about your accent. Chingy's from the UK. And
I am. I'm your UK girl.
Absolutely.
I am one of the Blakeses.
You sure
I
are.
have been adopted into the family.
Lisa and I love you. We're coming to see you very soon too.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm excited. And you're going to be at my launch as well. So
absolutely.
That's even better.
When is the launch? Talk a little bit about the launch. When is the launch?
Oh, yes. That is the 19th of June, 7 p.m. BST. We're going to be launching the Black Swan Relationship Academy. So everyone's welcome. I think I'll send you the link, Bishop, and you can put it in your description below or whatever. But yeah, you'll be there because you're that guy. You're my masculine man. You're my masculine mascot. And Lady Lisa is the most feminine, beautiful woman I know. So I cannot have you there.
How can people get in touch with you?
Right now I'm changing websites, but at the moment you can get in touch with me at probably Instagram is probably going to be quite stable, and at the moment that's Chengi's World or chengisworld.co.uk. You can contact me on there until the 19th of June when we cross over, but I'm sure my web team will probably direct you to the new website. But yeah, Chengi's World on YouTube, Chengi's World everywhere. I'm around.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for taking out some time today to come and to educate us and to help me understand some things that I've been puzzled with. I love you. I appreciate you. You are amazing. And I know that the Black Swan Academy is going to touch 1 billion women across the world.
It will.
God
willing, it will. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Love you, Ching.
Such a pleasure. Love you too, Bishop. Bye.
God bless you.